Yeah. Okay, we are recording. Sean, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a bit early for me.
Is it?
Yes.
It's 10 a.m.
I know, but I got back at like 2.
All right.
Yeah.
How are you finding the sort of later nights as you're getting older?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? The night is fine, but it's what it does to you the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm absolutely battered. I don't know how bands do it.
Mate,
Like
I
rock bands, it doesn't matter how much money you've got, does it? You
no.
can't beat you can't beat the decay of the body. Like 50 and 60 and rocking out. It's crazy.
He's mad. Like when you see footage of like Mick Jagger and like I don't know how old Mick Jagger is now, but
I think Mick Jagger is 142.
I knew it was around about there.
Yeah.
But to be able to do what he does, I saw them about 10 years ago and he was double old then. And I was thinking, and he did not come off the gas for like 2 hours. And I was thinking, it's remarkable. Like, I run a nightclub and like, I can handle one night of work in my club. If I do two, like, I'm nearly 50. If I do two, like, that's ripped me off for a week. I just
Yeah.
can't do it.
Well, do you know what is weird? It is I have kind of different levels to my performance that I can turn on or off, and I like to turn it on. So I recorded a big show in Brighton. I recorded it so it was the special, and I did the show to full capacity. But because of the size venues I do vary. So you actually can't. I did a little show yesterday in Sudbury, but it was a lovely little show. But it's a lovely little art centre. You can't do the show the way I would do it in Brighton because it would just look mad. It wouldn't work. What the hell is wrong with this guy? So you have to shrink the performance. And I wondered if I had to do the way I did it in Brighton every day at every performance like Lee Evans does.
Yeah.
I don't think I could. I'm not sure I could do it. I'd certainly have to. Do you know what I think I'd have to do? Which is obviously what like Mick Jagger must do. Is I would have to kind of dedicate my whole life to the performance. I'd have to go right. So it's NutriBullet at 6 o'clock. No carbs. No slow release. I think you'd have to do that.
Got to go full Wahlberg, ain't you?
Yeah, full Wahlberg, precisely. Full
Yeah.
Wahlberg.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, look. Let's talk records.
Okay.
So I've had you bigged up to me by our mutual friend Josh Weller. You've already told me before we press record that he might have misled me a little.
Josh has said that what did he say? I love music.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as I've said before we've gone on air, we're not on air, it's a podcast, but you know what I mean, is I love what I love, but I'm not a music buff. You might have to use some terminology that
Right.
I don't. There's Grace, my partner.
Hi, Grace.
All right. Oh, I didn't tell you about this. Sorry. Right. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Stu. Right. So I'll try my best, but you might need to help me a little bit here.
All right. You're in safe hands, mate.
Thank you.
Okay. Sean, tell me the song that you think's got the greatest ever intro.
Okay. So what you might not know about me is I am a ginormous Blink-182 fan.
Oh, it's a good time to be a Blink-182 fan, mate.
Yeah, yesterday was, I reckon, one of the best days of my life. Tom is back. I cried. My friend...
Fuck off, really?
Yeah. I'm 36. I cried. I think I have OCD. I have one of those things. You know, everyone has a thing, but I've not had mine diagnosed. I listen to Blink every day. Every day I listen to Blink-182.
What, like just one track or?
Oh, no. I've listened to various tracks, but I will listen to them every day. Not a day goes past without me listening to Blink. So, yeah, yesterday was an incredible day. My friend, who is the producer of my podcast, what he did is he found a 30-second leak of the new single, and then he took the 5 seconds or whatever it is, 7 seconds, of the bit of the single on the advert, and he clipped it together to make a kind of 36-second version of the song, which I just had on repeat in the car, full blast last night on the way to the tour.
That's
I'm so
quite
happy.
insane, Sean.
I didn't say I wasn't insane. I'm not. I am not well. I am. Yeah, I think my friend Mikey has it as well. We're just obsessed.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely obsessed. I've got a tattoo and everything.
Really?
Yes. Anyway, so it will be no surprise that, and this is the only Blink song, fortunately for you today. But
I love Blink. You're in safe
of course
hands,
you
mate.
do. Yeah. But I use this for if I'm doing a big show. This is the and I did the Edinburgh run, just did the Edinburgh Festival, and this was my walk-on music. And Ivo Graham, do you know the comedian Ivo Graham?
I do, yeah.
Ivo Graham, fantastic comedian. Ivo Graham came to see my show, and he was being very nice. But he said, "But the greatest thing about your show was the walk-on music," because he said that I'm proud of this. I have the best walk-on music he has ever seen a comedian have. And that, Stu, is Violence by Blink-182.
Nice. That's a solid choice, mate.
That is a good intro.
Mm.
What's that? Do you know it?
Yeah.
What's that noise that's happening at the beginning where it's I can't do it. It's like, you know that you don't know.
Like a woodblock type thing.
Yes. And then the guitar comes in, and it's just building and building and building, and so it's perfect for a walk-on music, for a walk-on track, because the crowd are just getting more and more hyped until, bang, it comes in, and I walk onto stage. But that intro is, it's phenomenal.
So I'm interested when I speak to musicians on the podcast. I'll ask them, like, when they're performing live, do you come out with big tune, hook them in straight away, and then throw in a few album tracks, and then finish on the big ones? As a comedian, how do you approach that joke wise? Do you, after you've had the greatest ever walk on to Blink, do you come in with like a monster of a gag, or do you right, I'm gonna warm them up? And does that differentiate between the level of show, as you mentioned, from the one in Sudbury to a big show in a larger venue?
I think that. Well, here's the thing, right? Is that I always have a support. I'm a guy, always have a support, and I really don't enjoy not having a support, because if you have a support, and I don't know if this is the same with music, if you have a support act, they'll go out, and it's actually less about them. Well, it's still an important part of it, but they warm up the crowd, right? Just get them in that rhythm, that pace, that tone of laughter. But actually, what's important is I get to hear what it is I'm about to go out and do. And that, for me, is the most important thing. So if the support act has gone out and he's had a great one, it's Friday night and the crowd are up for it, well, then I'll probably come in at a 10. I'll probably just come right in, bang, let's go.
Yeah.
But if the support has gone out and you go, right, they're quite timid today, you can't then jump out, because what happens is, and I used to fail with this when I was younger. I used to struggle with this when I was in my 20s quite a bit, because I would come out at 10. And then what happens is, if the crowd aren't there with you, you've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, if you go, oh, well, they're not going for the 10, and then you drop, well, now they didn't have the energy, and now your energy has dropped. So now you've taken them down, and then you can't go up because you started at 10, so you've got nowhere to go. It took me a long, long time to realize, always give yourself somewhere to go. Or always give yourself somewhere to go, unless they are there and they are boiling. If they're at boiling point, you can jump in. But what I like to do is, and I suppose that you could say this is a bit like starting with a a track that doesn't explode is I like to kind of not, with the current tour show, is I'll not get a laugh straight away. I'll make sure that it's not like I'm saying an unfunny joke, but I'll just do an extra long setup so that suspense is building and building and building. And you go, right, well, when's this guy going to say something funny?
Yeah.
And then bang, you drop it. So it's kind of a mixture of both, really. The punchline is at the 10, but I'll keep that suspense building. Nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, having a background in the, you know, in my younger years of being in, like, touring in bands and stuff, like when you've a new band and you've got new songs, you come out and you start at 10 and you keep going at 10. And if you ain't got them, you're right, you've got nowhere else to go. And you think, oh shit, we've got 2 songs that ain't as killer as this. Like, and we've lost them already. And it is, I think, and I think that's just a lot to be said for experience and age, right?
Yes. Oh, definitely experience. I mean, it's always experience, isn't it? It's the best learning tool. There's, you know, when people someone said to me, there's a really great comedian who's kind of actually, he was just on Celebrity MasterChef, I think, but he really hits the internet, guy called Kay Kurd. And he said, when I did his show the other night, and he said, oh, you could really tell that you were a professional comedian. And you just go, it's fit. I've been going for 15 years. It just comes to you.
Yeah.
And you don't, I don't know if you can teach a lot of the things that you acquire by just doing it for a long time. I don't think there's some things like the instinct. I don't know how it works with a band. Here's a question for you. With stand-up, one of the things that can be useful, and this isn't a particular strength of mine, but what could be useful is you can change the way you do it in the moment if you want to. You could realize that they're not really going to go for, yesterday in the little show in Sudbury, I could be a bit more drier. The room was small. It was a very middle class little town, and I could just be a bit stiller and a bit drier. And I knew they were going to kind of like that version of the show. In music, is there anything you can do when you're a band and you've got a gig? Is there anything you can do to turn it round, if you will? Sorry, just to give you another example. Again, this is not one of my strengths. A lot of comedians say their stuff's not working. So they come out for whatever reason. The gear's not quite hitting. What they can do is then go into the crowd. And they can turn the gig round with the crowd and then go back into the material and pursue. Is there a version of that?
I think if there is, I was too young to ever have the experience to know what that would have been. We just died on our ass. And I'd love to bestow some wisdom right now on young listeners. Yeah. But no, I think like I was done and dusted by the time I was 25. So yeah, I'm sure Chris Martin could probably tell you a better answer to that one. But
right, fine.
No LBL. All right, Sean, I'm going to take you back, and for track 2, I'm going to ask you to tell me the first song that you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
I think, after 2 Become 1 by Spice Girls.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. I think it's certainly one of, but looking back, the song that kind of pulled my heartstrings and was kind of hitting me in a different way to pop music prior was the You and Me song by the Wannadies.
I think that's a perfect record, Sean.
Do you?
I think it's perfect in every possible way.
It's so beautiful.
It really is, isn't it?
I've got a T-shirt that just says "You and Me Forever." It's so simple. It's so beautiful. But the memory, I've got a memory, which is I think 16, and I was this is crazy, is I was viewing a college, and my girlfriend at the time lived across the road from me, and I viewed the college, and I was, that young love, the best love, that youthful love, and I had a pack of 10 fags. That's how long ago it was.
Quality.
10 packs of 10. And I put You and Me. I don't know if it can't have been an iPod, can it? It must have been maybe a CD Walkman.
Shut up, Discman. Yeah.
Yeah, Discman, yeah. And put on the You and Me song and ran home. It was like an hour or something. But I listened to that song thinking about my first girlfriend whilst chain smoking and running at the same time.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Superheroes can't do that, mate.
I know. Chain smoking and running.
Just smashing 10 Embassy. Love it.
Yeah. Why do you think it's why? Because I know it's got that when a chorus hits and there's that explosion and it's so pure and positive. I tell you what, Stu, I had to stop using it as my in the music for my tour shows and my Edinburgh shows a few years ago. I had to stop using it as one of the songs that the audience were coming into, because it would go, "It's always you," and the whole crowd would join in.
Yeah.
And I had to stop using it, but that's what it does. It's one of those songs that I think everyone is feeling the same thing when that chorus.
It's so perfect, and I don't want to overshadow the Blink reunion, but the Wannadies have also announced they're coming over to play. Yeah, like the Wannadies are back as well.
Oh, wow! What a year!
I know. It's such an incredible record, Sean, and I think that the simplicity of like quiet lad always works. Look at Nirvana.
Right, yeah.
They're masters at it, but I just think all the little pop hooks, the lyrics are so simple and perfect and pretty, and then that chorus is just euphoric, isn't it? It's just pure joy, and yeah, it's the perfect love song and it's the perfect pop song, and you're the first person to. I've done 450 of these, Sean. You're the first person to pick it, so yeah.
Oh, nice!
It's wonderful, excellent choice. Going back to you said you was running back to the road where your then girlfriend lived across the road. Where was growing up, mate?
Brighton.
Nice. Happy memories of Brighton?
Brighton is an amazing place to grow up. Especially if you're in something, you're doing something creative. Mm-hmm. It just seemed like everyone was either, everyone I knew was either trying to make short films or music or comedy or was an artist. It brought that out of everyone. It was totally normal I also think the pace of Brighton was good for learning how to be a comedian. I was 20 when I started. Very late, so I was just about to turn 21. But I was 20 and you could sit in the lanes and you could just watch the world go by whilst chain smoking roll-ups and drinking coffee. It was a wonderful time. And also, I think it was a very good place to grow up because it's very bohemian, but it's also very alternative. It's very liberal. So to grow up, I know it's the kind of cliche, but to grow up in a city where, it's like the gay capital of Europe, or certainly the gay capital of the UK.
Yeah.
Just that is something that you kind of become proud of. You feel like we're all. It just means, I do think that it just means that you, as a city, it's a very accepting city of everyone and all types. And so I'm very proud of that. And I love I love Brighton a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I still left.
Yeah. Oh, it's a wonderful place, and I think like you said, if you're surrounded by people that are all trying to kind of make it in a different creative field, and all of the people around you are doing that, then it brings you up as well, doesn't it? If everybody's on the same page, it's like it's good for all involved, right? You're all trying to kind of get a head and shoulder above everybody else, and you're trying to kind of help each other up. I don't know if that community exists in comedy, but I know in music that there was definitely, in your local scene, like you'd kind of, well, will you support us, and then we'll support you, and then
I was very lucky, because when I started stand up, I actually did a little course run by a woman called Jill Edwards, and that was at the Comedia, and the Comedia is like the kind of flagship, comedy club of Sussex, I suppose, of East Sussex. And what happened was, when we did the course, everyone on the course would then, even when the course had finished 12 weeks in, we would all go and support each other when the other one had a gig. And we thought that was normal. We thought that that's what everyone would be doing. And then you would go and do a gig in London and no one would talk. And there was this kind of tension between everyone. It felt really competitive. I used to hate gigging in London when I started because it was so unsupportive. And you really suddenly, I mean, London was much more representative of what it's like. It's cutthroat and it's brutal. I said to any young act that gets in touch and wants advice and stuff, and like, I'm just like, be strong. It is brutal out there.
Yeah, but I do think that like that's probably the case in a lot of creative fields, though, isn't it? Because they're hard to reach the levels of success that certainly that you've reached in comedy. It's hard to get there, and it's hard to get that record deal. It's hard to get exhibited in the right galleries. And I think
the self-doubt that comes with, certainly for me, but I know a lot of my close friends, the self-doubt that comes with if this audience doesn't, if I don't hit it off with this audience, the kind of self-hatred that as you get older again and experience, you learn to control a bit more, a lot more, I would say, but it's still there.
Yeah.
You're leaving. I think that the reason that I, as a younger comedian, kind of pushed through quite early is the fear of the bad gig. I was so afraid I remember just going to gigs and just being terrified that I would have a bad gig because I didn't want that feeling that having a bad gig was going to give me. So it became less about having the good gig and more about not having the bad gig. And that fear, I think, helped me be certainly successful when I was, in the early days.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take you back to your early days as well, and I'm going to ask you for track 3 to tell me about the song that reminds you of your time at school, please, mate.
I think it can't be anything other, I'm afraid. Although I love this band, actually. I'm not gonna. It's not a guilty pleasure. They are great fun. They're a little band called Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
And the song is called Rolling.
Yeah. It's a monster of a track, right?
You remember this track?
Of course.
Your Red Cat. Ben Stiller's in the music video.
That's right.
I'll just say the thing about this is, right, I wasn't a very cool kid. So like my friend Gabs, Gabs, my best friend Gabs. Gabs' dad was in a band called David Devant and his Spirit Wife.
Oh, I know Mikey really well.
Oh my God.
Like David Devant, my band used to support David Devant.
That is crazy. Yes. Oh, that's amazing. So Gabs' dad is Foz the
Right.
guitarist.
Amazing guitarist. Literally saw him just before lockdown.
Gabs will be so chuffed about this. No, do you know what? Right, so later on we're going to talk about the song that many won't know.
Yeah.
I was going to choose, but I couldn't. I thought I won't be able to find it. Is a song by David Devant called Black and White.
Oh, fuck. What a record.
You know Black and White?
Of course. Like, Mikey's been on this podcast. I've had the vessel on the podcast.
Like 1,000 angels singing in the sky. God stands up for losers like he does for you and I. It's it's one of, oh my God. What a song. Black and White, everyone. Black and White by David Devant and his spirit wife. Oh,
well, they're a bananas band that I shout to everybody to listen to because
it's so cool.
Like we used to play with I met them. My best friend is a one-man comedian musician called Cunt and the Gang, and I
think he did he just do Edinburgh?
He wrote a thing called Shannon Matthews the Musical, which was on at Edinburgh this year. But
I heard it was great. I didn't get to catch it. Yeah.
But he's friends with Mikey, and then this was like way back when they were sort of releasing their first record, and it was just like I went to see them, and it was one of the most insane live things I'd ever seen.
Oh, that's amazing!
And it was like, well, I've become friends with him and ended up like doing shows with him and stuff, and stayed in touch. And and literally like saw Vessel and Foz and that a couple of years ago at what's the venue opposite the Scala? I can't think, but I
won't know.
Wonderful.
I won't know. Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. Back to school.
Yes. So Gabs was listening to indie music, but like bands, not just Pulp and Blur. Like he was listening to bands that I wouldn't have known. So he was a lot cooler. Whereas I was listening to Spice Girls. I was listening to whatever was in the charts and was being sold on Smash Hits. Sorry, that's my oven. Smash Hits magazine. And then what happened was Limp Bizkit came out, and my friend Crazy Dave played me this song. My friend Crazy Dave has a lot to answer. Crazy Dave showed me Limp Bizkit, but he also showed me Lee Evans, which was a massive reason.
Also got the greatest fucking nickname ever.
He was, and I think still is, insane. Crazy Dave. He honestly was. Yes, the name was not ironic. It was not like Little John. He was actually fucking mental. But he showed me Lee Evans, which helped get me into stand-up. But he showed me Limp Bizkit, and Fred Durst was swearing, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing I have ever heard." There is a man. He is angry. He's also swearing. Like there's a song on Hot Dog Flavored Water that's like, "It's a fucked up world in a fucked up place. Everybody's got a fucked up face," something like that. And the whole song is he says fuck, and it just blew my mind. And it got me into Kerrang!
Yeah.
And MTV2. They got me into Kerrang! So Kerrang! Then helped me get me into Blink. So I'm very happy for the Limp Bizkit days.
It was kind of new metal was happening then, wasn't it?
It was new metal, yeah. And, that is everyone's least. That is the uncoolest music now, isn't it? We've not quite. Have we got back to new metal yet?
I don't know. I think like it is weird. I think people go, yeah, there was the Manchester scene. Then things just went mad. We had grunge. Then we had Britpop. Then we had we'll leave that one alone. And then we had people just seemed to leave new metal just sort of tucked away it didn't happen. Yeah. But I do think that have you watched the Woodstock documentary?
Do you know what? I was going to bring it up exactly. Like they were. You forget they were like if you see if you see like a festival poster now, Limp Bizkit are still going.
Yeah.
But they'll be like third down the bill.
Yeah.
And not closing. And you're like, there was a point where they were quite possibly the biggest band in the world, 100%. Especially America.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. And what do you think about what they did at Woodstock? They got a lot of stick for that.
I just don't put any thing on the band, I put it all on the fucking promoter.
Good.
Because, like, I just think if you, at that point in music, and like, I should point out the club that I run plays that sort of music. So it's an alternative club.
Oh,
like,
great!
So I've been playing these.
I'm coming. I'm gonna make a return to clubbing, Stu. I'm going back to clubbing, and I'm gonna come back to your place.
Yeah. But I do think that if you book Limp Bizkit or you book Korn,
yes,
you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna, and if you've got an audience full of fucking frat bros, shit's gonna go off. And obviously it did. And what I thought was really surreal was the fact that the voice of reason at that whole festival was Gavin from Bush. Now, when you think, Jesus Christ, he saved it. How did that happen?
Yeah. But I think, like, you can't ask a new metal band to tone it down. What are they going to do? Oh, make sure they don't lose it in the crowd. It's a metal band.
Yeah. You're not going to get Limp Bizkit unplugged, are you? It's not going to happen.
Don't put them on. Don't put them on. But that was like, I don't know if you were like this, but Limp Bizkit, well, you're at school and you're at that age where you're so, easily influenced. I got a red cap. I started wearing Adidas Superstars because of Fred Durst. I would literally dress like Fred Durst. Very embarrassing days.
You wouldn't have been alone, mate. Like,
I wasn't.
Whole look, like the girls would wear the kind of Adidas tracksuit bottoms with the poppers at the bottom that would like open up. Like, and like that new metal thing, everyone had their wallets on their chains, didn't they? It was like, it was a big look.
I bought a skateboard. Couldn't skateboard. Bought a skateboard.
Just carry it around. Let's go.
Just carry it around. Who cares?
Well, tell me about school. Apart from your new metal years, did you enjoy it?
I don't know if I didn't. No, well, I was a very I was a naughty kid, you see. So I was in the bottom sets.
What, naughty as in naughty, or just titting around?
I think titting around, but enough to be suspended a lot. And and I was at, and I just wasn't taking it in. I was in the bottom. It might not be a surprise, but I was in the bottom sets for everything. Right. Pretty much. And, I didn't go. I was much more interested as a kid or in just having fun and it would be like on my way to school, it would be like what trouble could we cause today? That would be the aim of the day, is to get into trouble, to have fun, to get detention. So I look back at it and it's a kind of, I regret that a lot, because I'm having to, in my 30s, trying to play catch up and trying to kind of trying to educate myself in my 30s, because I went from basically, I went from school where I learnt nothing into working in a pub and then becoming a stand-up at 20, where all you ever really had to do was, or chose to do, my act was just talking about what a kind of bum I am. And I kind of don't feel like I don't think I really grew up from secondary school until I was like 33. There was do you know what I mean? It was real arrested development. So I don't know if I did have fun. I didn't really like being in trouble. And I think that I was bored. I don't know why I had this outlook on life. I just wanted to have fun. And for me, school wasn't fun. School was about discipline, and school was about rules. And school, you can see why I like Blink-182. I sound like sounds like lyrics to Blink-182, but it was about, it was about doing what you were told.
Yeah.
And I just never wanted to do what I was told. And so now I'm in my 30s. I'm like trying to fucking read. I can't get past a page without having to get the dictionary out. There's every fucking other paragraph, like, right, okay, what does that mean? But
Was you a confident kid?
I was at school, yes. I was yes. I was extremely confident. I thought that I remember that I've said this many times before, that being given homework and telling the teacher that I didn't need to do the homework because I was going to be an actor. I was going to be a famous actor. It's like, nah, miss, that I don't need to do that. I'll be a famous actor.
Did you? Is that what you wanted to be when you was at school? Did you think that was like a possibility?
I wanted to be Jim Carrey.
Right.
I thought I could be, or Lee Evans. But yeah, I thought I really, and it's bizarre because I did not doubt it. And obviously, you get older, and now I'm just a crippling. I'm a mess. Just a complete, ginormous, just a flesh of doubt. That's what I have. Just this, this combination of flesh and doubt. But then nothing could stop me really.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the last.
Did you have that before? Sorry, but what did you? If you're going into, did you always know you were going to go into music? See, from the age of from when I saw my first Jim Carrey film, that's what I wanted to do. So Ace Ventura, and I think I was 10. That's what I wanted to do. And then I was introduced to Lee Evans, so it was like, oh right, there's this stand-up thing as well. So it was like, right, I'm either going to be Jim Carrey, I'm going to be Lee Evans. And that wasn't really in question. Did you have that going with music?
I don't know, because like I couldn't play music, but I knew.
Right.
But I think because I was a DJ, I thought, and I think I sort of knew what sounds made people react, and so I sort of learned how to write songs, and I like it.
That's
when
amazing.
Even like, and
what age was that?
So I was doing that when I was about 14, and
right,
then,
amazing.
And then was just doing bands for the years that followed. But I remember talking to the careers officer, and like they said, like, what do you want to be? And I did say I want to be a pop star, and he just laughed, and then he just think like, why is he fucking laughing? Like I don't get what like, and then he said, well, I don't think that's going to happen. And I was like, oh, okay. No. And he said, have you got a backup plan? And I remember saying stuntman.
That's fantastic.
And
stuntman.
Never managed to sort of.
By the way, I still believe in you. I still think you could be a pop star.
Oh, thanks, man.
Don't give up.
Oh dear. What was the first song you remember buying from a record shop, Sean?
Well, 2 tape cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is before Fred Durst entered my life.
Okay.
So this is when we're listening to the charts, but it would be Robbie Williams' first single, which was a cover of George Michael's, which was Freedom.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that was because I liked Take That. And I still like Take That, by the way. So I went out and got Freedom, and I also got Anton Deck, Better Watch Out, which you won't remember, you surely.
No, I don't remember that one.
It was Anton Deck when they were PJ. I think they were still PJ and Duncan, and they sang a song called Better Watch Out, and it went, better watch out there after you. No.
Oh, I do remember that.
No, you don't.
I do remember that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was. That was. I mean, your first records are meant to be shockers, right? And I mean, you've delivered.
Oh, I'm glad, because is that kind of topping? You say you've done hundreds of these. Is that topping your worst?
Honestly, Sean, if people sit down to me and they go, "Oh yeah, like I just bought this like this album of like Dylan rarities," I'm like, bollocks, no, you never.
No
chance. Your first records are going to be PJ and Duncan or Take That.
Exactly. But it was Robbie Williams, and it was Take Cassette, and it was from again. How long it was ago? It was Al Price.
Nice.
Remember Al Price?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that was. I actually watched a thing on the BBC last night where Dermot O'Leary was sitting down with Robbie Williams watching like it's called Real Stories, and they sit in a cinema and they put up like different bits of footage of him over the years from the first
Wow.
ever take that thing right the way through to now, like a career spanning kind of chat. And they showed that video to Freedom because he'd kind of bloated right up, hadn't he? And he
Yes,
didn't look
yes.
he didn't look like the pop star that we'd seen a year before. And but so I think Freedom is not necessarily like Robbie's version's fine, but it's a great record. Freedom.
Yes. I actually like. I actually liked. I mean, I've not heard it in a long time, but I actually liked it. Well, of course I did. I bought it. I liked the Robbie Williams version. Freedom. I won't let you down. Yes. I mean, I don't. To be honest with you, and this goes for PJ and Duncan as well. I've not really gone back to the tapes, Stu.
Okay.
I'm not. So you'll have to tell me about
All right.
Freedom.
It's a cracker. It's a cracker. It's like, and obviously it was done because all the animosity between him and Barlow started at that point, where he was just. I think he was enjoying himself quite a lot, Robbie Williams, and then started digging out, Gary Barlow and the band, and obviously singing a cover of Freedom was his kind of,
Yes.
I'm free, but.
And it was after that, but that song wasn't. This is what I do know is that song wasn't on the album, so they went that way and kind of tried to do a pop song, Freedom, make a statement. It didn't quite go down that well with his demographic, and then he tried to. And then I think the album was called Life Through a Lens, perhaps.
He had a few howlers before that didn't. He had like a track called like South of the Border that didn't really do a lot. And like I think it was like
he kind of tried to. I think he admits this, but he kind of tried to be Oasis, a
100%.
one man. Yeah. Lazy Days. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Again, that wasn't a big hit either. They were.
I liked that song.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But I think like. He says on this thing last night that I was watching that you can't just go from being pop star to credible indie star. Like it's like they're going to sit in his iconic performance at Glastonbury, where he talks about it and they show clips of it where he's like, I just thought I was going to get bottled off stage, and he said, but they went for it. And
Robbie did Glastonbury.
Yeah, it's quite the performance as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And like he thought,
I would love that.
Yeah,
I would really enjoy that. Let me entertain you as your opener.
That's what they showed on that doc last night.
Imagine that as an opener at Glastonbury. Fucking hell!
About 5 o'clock in the afternoon, sun goes down, finishes on Angels.
Oh yes, that is superb.
And that was what he reckoned kind of transcended him into obviously becoming everybody's favourite. Everybody liked him. And Guy Chambers, he's all right with a pen, and he can write a song.
Right, yeah.
I think the rest is history, isn't it? But all right, so you've got your red cap on. I'm going to take you clubbing. Tell me the song that soundtracked your year's clubbing, Sean.
So we're going now. We're getting into clubs now, and and now it's indie music time.
Brighton still. Going to the Gloucester, going to the Audio, just trying to find every time. Try to go clubbing every night to whenever there's an indie night. If there's an indie night on Monday, we go to that one. If there's an indie night on Tuesday, we go to that one. And I think really, I'll tell you what I was gonna put, because I think if you're my age, that is just the anthem. It's the anthem of clubbing. But I thought I can't. It will just. It's just become the cliche, but it is the Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Yeah.
Right, so that's because really that's the anthem of my age, really, clubbing. But
it's perfect.
It is perfect, and fuck me when oh my god, I think I saw the Killers at Glastonbury headline back in 2019, and I think that's probably the greatest show I've ever seen. It was absolutely incredible. And obviously they closed to Mr. Brightside, and Brandon Flowers gave it Brandon Flowers gave that song what he performed it like he had been told this was the last gig he was ever going to do. It was what you want from your pop stars.
Yeah.
Brandon Flowers, from what I've seen, I've got goosebumps every time I've told this, right? I think this is exactly what it should be like. You know, I've grown out of the Killers a bit, if I'm honest. I've not got the latest albums or whatever, but I'm gonna go and watch the Killers because I used to love the Killers. But I'm not like, it's not like I'm going to watch Blink or anything, right? But all right, we'll go watch Killers. It'd be a great night. The Killers come out, and Brandon Flowers says, and he's in he's in a gold suit, whatever. He's gone for it. And he says something along the lines of, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of incredible bands out there like tonight. And a lot of people have chosen to go and see those bands, and we appreciate that. But you people have chosen us. And my God, something like he goes, and my God, are we going to make sure that all those other people that didn't turn up here tonight just made the biggest motherfucking mistakes of their life? And it was like that was it. Just that.
Yeah.
That opening to it, where I think everyone went, and that would be in one of the, when Brandon Flowers, and I know this isn't clubbing, but it's seeing the bands that, were the anthem of my youth, where he brought out the Pet Shop Boys and they sang
Always on My Mind.
Always up, thank you. Always on My Mind.
Oh, was that the same one when they brought out Johnny Marr as well? And
Johnny
this
Marr.
Charming Man.
I think that when the Killers brought out Pet Shop Boys and sang Always on My Mind, that is in my top 3 greatest moments of my life.
I have watched that, Sean. That I'm a ridiculous Pet Shop Boys fan, right?
Amazing.
I fucking love the Pet Shop Boys, right? And when I set this podcast up, I had 2 people that I wanted to get on here, right? Maxine Peake and Johnny Marr, right? I've had Maxine on, and I've still not had Johnny Marr. And there's that
incredible
Glastonbury performance. You can tell that Brandon has grown up listening to the Smiths and to the Pet Shop Boys. They're essentially, they are the Killers. Them 2 bands merged gives you the Killers.
Yes, I've not thought of that. Yes,
and
absolutely.
You get all this brilliant synth pop in the Killers that the Pet Shop Boys do, and obviously the guitar lines.
Yes,
and they finish Always on My Mind. And if I remember rightly, because I've watched it a lot, he says, "All right, we got someone else coming out now.
Yeah.
Guitar hero, Johnny fucking Marr." And then out he comes and straight into this Charming Man. I've got goosebumps now. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I had their guitarist on the podcast, and for the greatest intro, he didn't choose Mr. Brightside. I'm like, you fucking wrote it. How could you not choose that guitar line as the greatest intro ever? Obviously, it's paid your mortgage. Let's not go for that. But
just quickly, the song that I think is probably more individual to me because it, well, basically, I'll tell you, "Honest Mistake" by The Bravery.
Cracking single.
Yes, cracking single. I think a bit of a one-hit wonder, The Bravery. But what a wonderful thing to be in life, to have had a hit. It's incredible. And but the lead singer of The Bravery, he had it was at the same time as I think Sam's Town by the Killers had come out. So what was happening at this point is, like you say, synth was really beginning to make a comeback and blend into indie music. And The Bravery were that. They did the indie thing and then brought in the kind of 80s new romantic synth.
Definitely.
To make Honest Mistake. And the lead singer, he had this, and I just thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So he'd wear black eyeliner, and then he was shaved back and sides, and then had this mohawk that was waxed up and then went down the center of his face. And I tried to be him, and I would straighten my hair to try and get my hair like the lead singer of The Braveries. And what would happen is, after dancing to one song, my mohawk would curl up into a little pig's tail.
Like Superman.
My hair would go all curly. No, not like Superman. That would be fantastic if it went like Superman. No, it looked absolutely ridiculous. I look like Tintin. Not Superman. But you know, so the honest mistake when that synth kicks in. But really, the anthem of my youth is "Mr. Brightside" by the Killers. But there are plenty, you know, there are plenty. We all know those indie bangers. Also, also when I was clubbing is when Arctic Monkeys came onto the scene, and I think in my lifetime, oh God, fucking hell, I forgot what it's called. But on the dance floor.
Bet you look good on the dance floor.
Thank you. Bet you look good on the dance floor. I think that's the closest in my life. Well, of course it is. I'm 36. That was Beatlemania.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For my age, I think when they came onto the scene, you were like, this is something else. And I'm glad I got to experience that a little bit. It was just insane. Every single song they released was just fucking perfect. And it spoke to who it was talking to. It was unreal.
Mm. I think that time, as somebody that's still to this day DJing alternative music to people every weekend, like, I don't think there's been a time since then that for guitar music that has got near that. I think that was the last big hurrah of indie music, and it was the time of the K's. It was the Killers, the Kaisers, the Kooks, Kasabian. They all started with K. Like, there was loads of them, and they all had like absolute cracking like indie dance floor fillers. And
it was phenomenal.
And I don't think you've had a boom like that since. And I hope it's around the corner, but.
So do I. I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know enough, but it seemed like maybe, I don't know. Did it kind of, you know, is it constantly inspired by what came?
I guess
by what came before? I mean, you know, those guys. What would they have been inspired by? You know, what was that movement inspired by? Do you have an opinion on that?
I think it was all different things. Like, I guess, you know, your Arctic Monkeys. I think there was a lot, certainly at that point, a lot of sort of John Cooper Clarke influence certainly in Alex's lyrics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Musically, I think they've got quite a unique sound. Like, I really do think that. I think obviously Killers, he's definitely, you know, lots of them kind of big alternative 80s bands. You know, Smith's Cure, Pet Shop Boys, New Order. Like, I mean, they took their name from the New Order video, didn't they? I don't know if you know this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
New Order released a track called Crystal, and for the video, they've put together this young boy band, and if you look at the drum skin, it says the Killers, and that's where they got their name from.
Oh, what a name! I mean, it was very active. Yeah, Glastonbury. It was perfect.
Yeah, wicked. I'm going to take you home. Tell me a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please.
Oh, shit. I've not done this one.
No. You've got Brighton. You've got loads to choose from.
Oh, no. I'm so... Oh, no. Oh, fuck. I have got Brighton. Can you help me out with bands that are from Brighton?
Kooks are from Brighton.
Well, do you know what? Let me tell you about Kooks. I started stand-up when I was at college, I was at Lewis College when I got kicked out of my first college, and I went to another college in Lewis, and the Kooks, they released that album. They became really big when I was at college, and I remember my friends were into like kind of Bob Dylan and, you know, like really proper music heads that knew what they were talking about. And I wasn't that. And to them, the Kooks was basically pop music.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't to them, it wasn't very cool. So I had to pretend that I didn't like the Kooks. I didn't have to, but I did. I pretended that I didn't like the Kooks. And actually, I loved the Kooks. And I loved their hits. They were absolutely amazing. I used to flyer the Kooks when I started comedy. The Kooks would often be walking through Brighton, and I would flyer them and try and get them to come come and see me, which they didn't, which I respect. But I would say, I think, yeah, I mean, the Kooks always remind me of Brighton. The one song, and it's not a song that I'd be lying if I said that I kind of hold it dear to me. But the song that always reminds me of Brighton is "Beautiful Day" by the Levellers.
Oh yeah, of course they're Brighton boys, aren't they? Because
Yeah.
did they own the Albert? Like
I don't know. I don't know.
right.
But I've seen them live. I went with a friend when I started comedy to see them live. What a beautiful day. It's such an uplifting song. And I always, when I hear that song, and I don't know why it's this image. I don't know why, but even again, it just happened now. I hear that song and I just see Brighton Beach through those kind of turquoise railings, those fences up on the promenade that look out to the beach. And I hear that song and I think of that image. So, that song makes me think of Brighton, and they are Brighton boys. The Maccabees that are one of my
lovely boys.
The Maccabees are in my top 3 bands without a doubt, and I was fortunate enough to be there for the at the Ali Pali gig, their last shows, and the Maccabees. I mean, just the questions don't suit the answers for Maccabees to be any of the answers. I mean, they could be in the clubbing years, certainly Latchmere and all of that. Oh, what a song. Latchmere's got a wave machine. I love the way Maccabees, I love it when a band evolves, like the way the Maccabees did. The way when it changes, it develops.
Massively.
Love that.
I've got a little Maccabee story for you, Sean.
Oh, yes. They really mean the world to me, and I've just got a feeling, and I believed Blink would get back, and I believed there'd be a Ghostbusters 3, and so I believe the Maccabees will get back together. I think that will definitely happen. Well, I think they are lyrically, musically. We're talking about music building, the crescendos of the Maccabees.
Amazing.
It's just Grew Up at Midnight is for me is just one of the greatest songs of all time. They are a special band, and I think they're a band that will have grown in their absence.
100%.
They are one of the greats of my lifetime. The Maccabees are one of the greats.
I think that they actually, like Hugo and Felix, played their first show with their new band, 96 TVs, night before last, I believe. And
oh wow!
I can't wait to hear that. I think their other brother Will's in the band as well. But I completely agree with what you just said there, and I think there's not many record labels in this day and age that support indie bands like they did the Maccabees, because that first record is amazing, but I think for a lot of major labels, it probably wouldn't have sold enough to give them a second record. And then they did give them a second record. And I've got a little story about our second record. And then obviously they've just backed them. They've become this band that people absolutely adore. And I'm one of those. But at the time, Hugo had come down to Essex and DJ'd my club. And he was such a lovely dude. He's actually on the podcast in a couple of weeks as well.
Oh, amazing. I listened to that.
And I also run a club in London with, at the time, with an actor, the guy that played Gavin in Gavin and Stacey. And he'd just been in the video for No Kind Words, which was the first single off the second record.
Amazing, yeah.
And we'd done this tiny little venue in Shoreditch, and Matt phoned me up and he went, Maccabees said they'll do a secret show for us to debut the new album. And I'm like, oh my God, you're joking. And it was at a venue called 333 on Old Street. And they played on the floor, and we couldn't announce it until about an hour before. And we just plonked it on a Maccabees forum that the Maccabees are debuting their second record tonight at Club XFM in 333.
That's incredible.
I struggled to get in my own event to see it. It was so packed. It was mental, and it was one of the most punk things I'd ever seen. Just seeing them boys in the middle of the dance floor, followed by surrounded by all these wide-eyed fans, just going. The Maccabees are playing on a dance floor in this small venue. It was amazing, and they've often come and DJ'd subsequent nights for me. And I'll tell you what, they're some of the nicest lads I've ever met. They are such smashing boys.
Oh, that's lovely. And they I think they went to, or certainly some of them went to university in Brighton. I know that. Or they lived in Brighton. Yeah.
They did, yeah.
So I'm going to choose the Maccabees, in which case,
Perfect.
and that counts. And I saw them. It's so amazing. I saw the Maccabees, right, when they were playing to about, what could that have been? 40 people or something.
Wow.
At a nightclub called the Gloucester, and we didn't know they were the Maccabees. We were just there for indie night. They just happened to be on before the club night.
Yeah.
They were like warming up indie night.
Wow.
Yeah. And I spoke to Orlando at the time, and I remember him telling me that his influence was Joy Division, Joy Division. But what's so funny is me and my friend Barbecue Pete, we were watching the Maccabees, and they were amazing. They were brilliant. Like to just watch a band, and I'm not a big music kind of nerd geek, so you need to have the catchy. You need to be catchy for me to be able to automatically tune into the song.
Yeah.
And the songs were amazing. Just in front of 40 people, you're like, this is really good. But me and my friend Barbecue Pete was stood at the back with our beers going, we could be better than this. We didn't even know how to play an instrument. We didn't even know. We were like, we need to start a band. We watched the Maccabees play in front of 40 people and go, we need to start a band. And then me and Barbecue Pete went and watched them play their last show at the Ali Pali. So it's really nice. Yeah, really nice to do the whole journey.
Oh, that's lovely. I don't know what's more incredible, that story of a nickname Barbecue Pete.
I'll tell you why it's called Barbecue Pete. We woke up hungover one day in Brighton, me and Robin, and we oh gosh, let's go to the pub. So ring up Pete. We go, Pete, pub. Let's go to the pub. And Pete goes, actually, guys, I was thinking of having a barbecue. And we went, yeah, all right then. See you at the pub. Just come to the pub. And he comes to the pub, and before he says anything, we go, ooh, it's Barbecue Pete. That was it.
I love shit like that.
All he did was suggest a barbecue. And 20 years later, that's still his name.
There's something about youthful lads that are that. It's like, I remember getting like new trainers or something and just thinking, oh, I've got to walk into college in these. And someone's going to go, oh, hello, shoes.
Yeah,
and you just think, what? It's just a new pair of shoes. But yeah, you can't ever kind of throw yourself out there and say, like, I might have a barbecue, because you're just going to get undrawn and quartered, aren't you?
Absolutely. Well, you're going to get called Barbecue Pete for the rest of your life.
I've got a good nickname for you. There was a fella that come to my club, and everyone used to call him Dinner. And I was like, why do they call you Dinner? He said, oh, it's got abbreviated over the years. I said, like, what from? And he went, Dinner Lady. And I was like, Dinner Lady? And he went, yeah, when I was at school, one lunchtime I got upset and I walked around the playground with the dinner ladies, and I've been called Dinner Lady ever since. The geez was in his 30s, just still being called Dinner Lady.
That's phenomenal.
That's a good nickname.
That is Dinner.
Right, well, look, before we get to the last track, I just want to ask you something. So you spoke about the confidence you had as a young man, and then to fast forward, you then chose comedy, and you've mentioned how cutthroat it is and how tough it is. Tell me about Drive.
Oh God, yes. I think that the fuck. I mean, you just can't. You cannot do it without Drive. You cannot get anywhere I imagine in anything. But in comedy, you cannot get anywhere without that drive, unless you are. What happened was, I tell you, I mean, I kind of realised this. You have to. I think you have to kind of completely give yourself, the whole of you, really, to what it is you do if you want to go, if you want to get along in it. And I think that I look at, like, I'm close friends with Ramesh, who obviously everyone will know, Ramesh Ranganathan, and the drive and the ambition was just never in doubt. But the focus, the marriage of focus and drive on the thing you're trying to get. I think when I was younger, that focus, that drive that I had as a child, that with no self-doubt and complete and utter belief, that got sidetracked in as I got older with the things that come with money and the things that come with sort of relative success, and I became more interested in going out. I just wanted to go out and get absolutely shit-faced, and that drive and focus was kind of knocked. And I kind of quit drinking a few years ago. So I didn't mean to go so serious, but
no, it's a serious question.
I just think that what I got back when booze left, and I bloody loved booze and still love booze, I can't touch it, is that passion. And you use a word like drive, but I think it's also the passion. It's the passion for what you do. It all starts at passion. I didn't just want to be famous when I was 10. It wasn't just about that. It was I wanted to make comedy. I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to give people that feeling that Jim Carrey was giving me, that Lee Evans was giving me. That's passion. And I would watch Lee Evans, The Ultimate Experience, on VHS over and over and over again. It would finish, I put it back on. It finished, I put it back on. When I was 20, I'd watch Dylan Moran's Monster every night before I went to bed. When other kids were, when other people were listening to music, I was watching Dylan Moran. When other people were going to live music gigs, I was going to the Comedia. That passion can't be forced. I was there, I was watching Dylan, and I was going to the Comedia because that's what made me happy. And I forgot in my 20s what it was that the reason I was put here, really. I forgot. I just wanted to get shit-faced and have that kind of fun. And I had great nights. I've got amazing nights, great memories. But it's only in the last couple of years that I got that back and that passion to create and just do whatever I can to make people laugh. I just don't give up. Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I've got to send scripts to a production company, and they're very nice, great people. They sent it back. We don't think this is the way forward with this script. It just doesn't bother me in the slightest. It doesn't stop me. I'll make that next year. I'll do that myself because it's the passion. It's not about being on telly. I don't give a shit about being on telly. I give a shit about making comedy. And we are so lucky that we can live in a time where if someone's saying no, you go, all right, then I'll somehow find a way to do it myself and I'll put it on the internet. Passion creates the drive, and just make sure you're focused, because if you're not focused, then there is a lot on the way that can knock you off track. And I mean, do you know what? That's so funny because it kind of perfectly skews to the next song I was going to tell you, which isn't intended really, but with everything that I've just said, a song that I could have written this. If I had any ability, this is the song I would have okay. If I had any musical ability, this is the song I would have written. The lyrics couldn't sum up how I felt about my 20s more than this song. It's just perfect. And it's Mistakes of My Youth by the Eels. I couldn't believe it when I actually heard this. How I came to find this song, again, was through Jim Carrey. It's Dumb and Dumber 2. The sequel, that's not actually, it's not very good. and they kind of didn't realize what made the first one work so well. But which often happens with when sometimes it's actually better to just pass the torch and let someone else do the sequel, because they get it more than you, because they were fans, not the creators. But anyway, it's in the title sequence to Dumb and Dumber 2. Sorry, the credit sequence to Dumb and Dumber 2 is Mistakes of My Youth by the Eels. And there's a montage of, flashbacks to Dumb and Dumber 1 and also some shots of Dumb and Dumber 2. And it's really moving. And I couldn't believe how moving the song was, just on the back of such a silly film. And I Spotified it or whatever, I found it on the internet. And I listened back to it. And fuck me, the lyrics were just, it was like, oh my God, that's me. That's my life. It's just a really beautiful, touching song. And if you've got any kind of, I don't regret my anything really. Well, we all have a few, but I don't regret my youth as a whole, certainly. But in terms of mistakes, well, there were plenty. But it's a beautiful song, and it's just I would listen to it. It's a very nostalgic song. It's a very melancholic song, but it's just lovely. Sometimes you want, we're in autumn now. It's autumnal. Sometimes you want a bit of melancholy. It's like a sad cuddle. So it's a nice song. But there you go. That's how I feel about that song.
It's a beautiful song, and I mean, the Eels, they're really good at melancholy. When you want to write something that's gonna, rip you in half, they're really good at that.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, we make it really easy for people to go and listen to that and every other track that we've spoken about today, because we put together a little Spotify playlist to accompany the podcast. So
amazing.
Listen to everything. As we're fast approaching Christmas now, in the months left leading up to that, what's happening, mate?
Oh, we are fast approaching Christmas. Well, I'm on. Do you know what? I've done a lot. So actually, I've just recorded a kind of best of special in my hometown in Brighton at the Theatre Royal, which was probably the peak of my career. It was amazing, and I played honestly. Came out to violence, and the crowds just went crazy. It was amazing, and we've recorded that. We're not sure what we're going to do with that one. It's in the bag, and that can go on the internet. Again, if no one wants to buy it, I don't care. I'll put it on YouTube. And then on an Edinburgh show I did, which I got nominated for the main award, which was lovely. It's called Seann Walsh is Dead, Happy Now. And that show we recorded at a small venue in London called the Bill Murray, and that will go on YouTube this year. That will be on YouTube this year, so look out for that. Seann Walsh is Dead, Happy Now, on YouTube. And I've got, if you're not aware of my work, I've got a special on YouTube called Kiss that you can watch about the time I was on a dance show called Strictly Come Dancing, and it didn't really go to plan, but that show's gone down really well on the internet, and and obviously I'm doing live gigs, and I think that's it. Oh, I would love it if people are looking for a short podcast, only 15 minutes. Got a top 10 podcast called What's Upset You Now, which is me and my friend Paul McCaffrey, very funny comedian, just moaning.
Paul's been on.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, but now there is a man that knows about music.
Yeah.
He
loves a bit of mod, doesn't he?
Loves mod, yes. A wonderful bloke. Very, very talented, funny man. But yeah, there's the two of us ranting for 15 minutes, so you can check that out.
Wonderful. And if people want to keep up to speed with all of this, where's the best place to follow you, Sean?
Instagram. I try and stay away from Twitter, but Instagram's a nicer home, isn't it?
Absolutely. Sean, I've had an absolute ball today, mate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely talking to you. Thanks so much for having me, mate. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. I'm going to press stop. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice one.